So in a previous video, we created a couple of users. Now, one of the things that will happen fairly often is we want to pre-populate those user folders with configuration files or information or whatever. In fact, if I look, let me do an ls-l on my home directory, and we're going to see J. Jameson is the account we deleted, but A. Smith is still an active account. So I'm going to do an ls-l/home/A Smith, and we're not going to see anything there. If we do an ls-la though, we're going to see that we actually have three files there. They're the bash, logout, bash, hrc, and the profile. And these are all files that control configurations for the user. So I can modify those files once the user is created, or I can put some files that I want in the etc/skel folder. So I'm going to change directory there, /etc/skel. And if I do an ls-la, you'll see, again, we've got those profile files so we can edit. I'm going to do something a little bit different though. I'm going to create another folder or file here just so we can see how this works. So I'm going to sudo nano, and I'm going to create a file, and we're going to call this test.txt. And we're going to say this is a sample test file. And then Control O to write it out, and Control X to exit. And now you'll see that we have, let's do an ls-la so we can see all of them. So there you can see the files that we have. Okay, I'm going to cd tilde, which is going to take me back to my home directory. And now I'm going to create a new user. And let's do the add user. And we're going to do Patrick Peters as our new user. Whoops. Sudo add user p Peters. Now this is going to, and we'll see this here, we added a new user, and then we created a home directory, and here's where we see where it copied the files from etc skel. So set a password for Peters. I've already used that password. Let's try another one. Whoops. I just did that the wrong way. Oh well, who cares? We'll go ahead and create our sample user here. It said my password has already been used, but it went ahead and accepted it anyway. So that's what happens where you should actually read the messages rather than just assuming and typing. So anyway, we've created a user called P. Peters. So I'm going to cat etc, /etc password, and we should see P. Peters here with something that's not actually a password. It thinks that's his actual name. That's okay. So I'm going to ls-l/home/P. Peters. Let's do an LA so we can see everything. And here is everything that got copied over, including the test file I just created. So what would we use this for? Well, if we want people to have consistent profile settings or bash settings, or we want policies copied over, or we want a specific folder structure, whatever we put in the etc skel folder will be copied to their home folder. And it's whether we do the add user or the user add, as long as we set a home folder there for them and create it, everything from etc skel will be copied over. So that allows us to create some consistent configurations, share some consistent information when users are created. Now, key thing, that's when users are created. If you remember, we created another user, Alex Smith, before we did the etc skel changes. So if I do ls-la home Alex Smith, he has those profile settings, but he doesn't have the test.txt file. And that's because that etc skel folder is only copied over, skel is for skeleton by the way, is only copied over when we do that initial user creation. That's the only time that happens. Okay, but Now that we've seen it, we now know we can use the etc skel folder to set default configurations and files for new users.